I'll call the meeting to order and make note that this meeting is live streamed. I ask if there's a disclosure of interest. As there is none, I have a resolution. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
There's an item. There's one item dealing with NOHFC, so I'll declare on that.
Okay, that's been declared. Thank you. We have a resolution moved and seconded to adopt the agenda as amended with the following items: the Norwest Recreation Resolution to rescind resolution number 172-2025 and 173-2025, and a letter from Shirley Niemi, the KB Seniors Nonprofit Housing, requesting support for seniors community grant. Is that all right with the mover and the seconder? Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. I will now pass it to whomever is going to discuss the budget notes. I would imagine that was something we would like to go through first. We've read them, but you could probably give a little an overview. The persons online have not read it, so.
Sure. So, so just, we've had some couple of meetings on the budget and some direction from council. Went back, we looked at some ways that, we could reduce the levy. Obviously 147% wasn't a sustainable rate. So we went back, and we reduced spending in certain areas, Hearthstone Bridge being, the bulk of the spending reduction, or the largest single item, excuse me. And we also looked at use of reserves, as well as long-term debt to finance some of the capital projects. So we came with the budget in front of you has a 2.99% tax levy increase after growth. There is one note is that I'd removed from this draft of the budget the Generac at KB Fire Station, but I believe there's desire around the table to put it in. So that'll have to be returned, and that would change the levy to 3.63 if that is put in. So so I mistakenly removed that. There was a lot of back and forth on generators and that stuff. So I think I moved, Russell removed it for an analysis, but I forgot to return it when I did the final version. So
if it is put back in, what would that do to the increase?
3.63.
3.63. Okay. Thank you. And that's the Generac.
So that's long and short of it. Now, there are still some items in each of the departments that probably merit further discussion. So we can go through not every department, but a couple where there are some items that perhaps haven't been resolved yet and how we want to treat them. So I suggest we do that.
Okay.
So the first item or first department would be administration. So, sorry, Alan.
Could you give us the page number?
Just to come back to you, a general comment from you, overall. When I first got the package, I looked at 9 items as well as we're at. Sorry. And then as I spent some time on it and listening to news and so I said to myself, wait a minute, are we doing what should be right? When the inflation rate runs about 2.2%, the salary increases on the average is about 3%. And here we are looking at now at 5.29% in the spending. Is that a real good decision for this council? When I look at the budget, the expense versus budget in the last about a month ago, it looked very, very favorable. In the last 7-8 years that I've sat here, before that I can't remember that far, every year we had a surplus. That tells me that the expense is padded somewhere along the line. It's impossible to always have a surplus every year. And I should have thought of this sooner, and of course, hindsight's 2020. When I sat on that other board, every year, we would have the expense of departments
over the budget. And you could see consistently one would always look really good. So what happens, they're padding their budget so that makes them look good. And that's not a good thing to do, folks. When you listen to the news today, the food banks are jammed to the hills. You can't get enough people in the house to feed them. People that are working are short of funding. I think we really need to look at this here number and at least get it down a little bit more representative of what the real cost to people is. So that's just my comments too, because I wanted to say that when he's doing the overall look, Mayor Lucy. So.
Yeah, in response to that, I don't, if you recall in the presentation I did before the budget meeting, the first budget meeting we had, there was a slide on that talked about where we are in terms of budget versus actual, and items that we're not going to either are going to be carried forward or going to be canceled, and they represented about 25% of our capital spending. And that's a little bit higher, but it is we do have every year that I've been here, which isn't that long, but there is we do underspend, particularly in capital items. Some of it is timing, because sometimes, for example, with the trucks, we might have it in the say we have it put it in the 2026 budget, but we don't get the trucks until 2027. So on that, but some of it is projects that we put in, we don't end up doing. You know, some road work, for example, that we put in, we don't end up doing. A railroad crossing may not get done in the year, or another project may not get done in the year. So yeah, so to Councillor Vis's point, we will likely again have a surplus, and we would have had a surplus in 2024 if it wasn't for the fact that we didn't borrow money that we had planned to borrow.
That's true. Yeah.
But our overall spending was lower in 2024 than.
But also during the year, I remember items coming back to council that had been budgeted for X number of dollars, and when we went out to get the price, it was much higher than what was budgeted for, and therefore that project didn't happen. So therefore it would show as a surplus. It's coming back this year at a higher estimate because we know we can't get that piece of machinery or that part for that kind of money. So that isn't really padding your budget. That's just realizing that we haven't budgeted enough.
Yeah, and then that happens in some cases too. Yeah, I'm not saying any department is padding their budget. I'm just saying that we have, even in this budget, we have speculative items, and you know, I think maybe I think I said at the last meeting is we have two ways of doing it. We can put it in the budget now and have it coming out of a reserve right now, or we can leave it out, and when we actually know we're doing it, we can draw the money from the reserve. At the end of the day, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of another. So it's just really, it depends on how you do it. Now, some of these speculative items, I'm reviewing, I don't think we should actually do them. I can get to them when we get to them, because yeah, we'll get to the two items when we get to them. But yeah, we do typically have a surplus. But it's, you know, it's also sometimes we find efficiencies. So I think Kakabeka Village paving, for example, that's we had a surplus on that because it came in lower. We were able to get it done lower than we had budgeted. So
we're always happy to see that happen.
we should be happy for that.
That's right.
So
yeah, especially when you're dealing with a lot of projects that require attenders. You just don't know what is coming back at.
Yeah, you don't know, and count. I think I mentioned this also at the last meeting, which is that we talk about the inflation rate being, you know, 3 or 4 or 5%, but the inflation rate that we really have to deal with is the construction inflation rate, which is, you know, 20. I don't think it's gonna be 20% this year, but between 2021 and 2025 was like 20%. So it was like twice as high as the general inflation rate, right? Yeah. So I don't know what it's going to be for 2026, but so that's another thing that we have to deal with. So
okay. So you were asked us to look at administration. What page was that?
So I guess if you go to page 13 or 12, it starts there. So you can see the changes. They're highlighted. They had different color codings on my screen, but when they got printed and photocopied, got blended together kind of. But anyway, so it was a slight increase in tax, interest on taxes. We put the recreation insurance recovery, cost recovery for that. We added that back in, and the WSIB surplus. So we just got notified that we have $55,000 surplus being returned to us. We'll use some of that in November and December. So that our balance for 2026 will be about 30,000. Now there might be another surplus coming back to us, but I don't know at this time. So we put 30,000 in there. So those are the changes there. If you go to the next page, page 14, you'll see two items, and the one is a reserve. So we have a contribution to Crossroad Development. And then we're funding it through a reserve contribution. So that's a change. Now, this comes back to Councillor Vissa's point, is that perhaps this contribution to Crossroad Development doesn't need to be in our budget for 2026 because we don't know that, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know our contribution. So if it does happen, we can draw on reserves at that time. We can, right? So that's another thing. And the other thing too is that because this is a private development, if our contribution to it kind of goes against our own rules about, private developments where the municipality not funding or paying for these, that's totally the responsibility of the developer to cover the cost, including any costs that the municipality would be responsible for. So that's an example to Councillor Vissa's point where we could consider removing it, right? So.
Kim, yes.
Through the chair, these contributions are not directly given to a developer. They are to do infrastructure related to our work on either side of the development. It's not actually in the development.
Okay.
Development comes to the table. This is to do our work on Road A and our work on Cooper Road to tie together the overall development. It's
Okay,
not related
yes.
to giving a developer $250,000.
Yeah, but we could also, though, we have the ability to say, you're developing this road A and B, you're responsible for the entire cost of it, which is more consistent with our policy. So I'm not saying that if we're looking.
But basically in this budget I'm looking at right now, it's not changing our budget levy
It's
at
not
the
changing
end
the levy.
because it's coming in and it's going out. It's all.
It's not changing the levy, but it is changing the reserve draw. And it is a very large reserve draw this year. And so if this comes out of our reserve draw, in theory, we could use that reserve draw on another item later on that's maybe more important to get down below.
Yes, Councillor Peacock?
Thank you. With regard to that Crossroads development, have we seen any application or anything come forward? Because last year we, when we did Twin City Crossroads, we made the improvement in anticipation of a developer, and to date that hasn't happened yet, that it has come across this table. So I'm wondering, can we hold off on that $250,000, and should the development come through to us, then next year we could draw from the reserves by resolution, should that be needed at that time, because maybe it's something that'll be held off again for another year. And then as far as Cooper Road, we've carried a balance for Cooper Road for a few years. Just would that not be something that would be used rather than the like in the roads budget?
Through the chair, that's for the other side. That's for.
Oh, you're talking Cooper Road
Yes.
as we refer to it north?
Yes.
Yeah,
Cooper Road is our road, so if any work has to be done on it, it has to be done by us.
but we're talking to the racetrack. Yeah.
The road that the 83,000 that's carried forward for year after year is related to the developer at the end of Cooper Road South finishing his lots and building his road.
Yes.
The dump trucks, concrete trucks would all be done. That road is a candidate to a surface program. That's why the money's been carried forward. The money that we're talking about as a reserve in and out is related to potentially Cooper South.
Yes.
To deal with that developer. council is absolutely correct. They can either pull it and deal with it. It was put in there, and as was mentioned in the preamble during draft one, if the timing comes after July 1st to sign the agreement and we got to go forward, we can't do it. And the developer has
reason.
mentioned that he is keen on getting here in January to talk to you guys to start talking about it.
Yeah.
So as far as the development on Twin City Crossroads, we have a speculative drawing. We've had discussions with that developer, and since that time, we've got another developer across the street that's going to be utilizing that corridor. So these things, it is timing, and that's absolutely correct. This is a budget that is either in or out, and in this sense, it doesn't make any sense to levy. It directly reflects timing, if we can do it later on, and a reserve drawdown.
That's
You're
right.
absolutely correct.
And as you state, as of July, no decision can be made to do this because of the funds, the election. Yes.
The nomination day is August 21st, so it's not July.
No, but it matters not. You can't do it in September, October. You cannot do it this year at all. So after August, so right now, I don't see it affecting our levy at all. And if it doesn't get done, those numbers will still be in reserve. So there's no,
Correct. And the other thing is, to everybody's point, there's been other developers come to the table that never come to fruition. I concur with that. I definitely concur. And we're just going with what we're being told and what we think is coming down the pipe in regards to development.
and again, if it doesn't work out, nobody's hurt. The money won't come out of reserve. The project won't happen. Councillor Peacock.
Thank you for that. Now, another question that I have is with regard to the municipal loan. How much longer are we in that for?
I'll have to check. It's a few years, but that's an in and out. That's an internal loan only.
Okay.
So there's no cash going out or anything. So
Used to reserves.
Then, the generator that is proposed here, the one from the Rosin Village water system is coming here. Is that then going to be hooked up so it automatically starts? Or are we going to have it, a manual start on that? So someone would have to be here to, activate it.
Through the chair, it's an automatic start on that end. It's an automatic start on this end.
Good, okay. And, the sign relocation, do we have to get MTO approval to have that sign moved once because it's my understanding that the gas meter out there is moving, so that's why we're relocating the sign as well? Am I correct on that?
Yeah, through the chair, that sign has reached its end of life, so the intent was to get a permit for an easement to move the sign permit. It's $750. The museum board just went through it a couple of years ago. It's application, and we're moving it 100 meters to the west.
And I'm presuming that the replacement of the water fixtures within the municipal office here won't be done until after the water treatment is installed at the blue building, correct?
Through the chair, there's a logical approach to all those projects, and that would be
That would be one of them, right? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Agencies? I guess that's just whatever you calculate it to be.
yeah, so sorry, so for agencies, we have received an update from a couple of agencies. DSAB is estimating 2.6 for the annual, but that's across the board. So
So we'll be
we're gonna be
higher.
higher, so I put 3.6.
Hmm.
Go ahead, Dan.
That's what it said on the team last night.
Yes.
Oh, okay, they told me it was 2 and now it's gonna be 3.
That's what the news stated, yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
and ours will be different.
And ours will be even higher, so
It's
okay.
higher.
I'll make a note on that. Impact number we received, health unit is we received. The one where the big unknown is the police. Because they are negotiating their contract
Mhm.
and it's gonna be retroactive. So I've got a 10% increase in year over year. But it might be maybe, that might even be higher. Depending on how much they get as a retroactive wage increase.
Okay.
So I'm not I haven't heard any updates, how that's going, so. So,
That's all you can do.
so, building and any other questions? Sorry, questions on the agencies? Okay, building and plumbing inspection. There's I increased the amount of building permits slightly, and decreased the amount of reserves slightly. Just reflect the optimistic or more optimistic projections from planning and building than I originally used. So other than that, that's the only change there. So. And bylaw was unchanged. Cemetery was also unchanged. So just one clarification. I don't know if it was clear last time. So this road improvement reserve, at the cemetery meeting, they were estimating about $100,000 worth of road work to be done in the future. And so they want to do a $10,000 a year contribution for 10 years. So it's not, they're not planning to do $10,000 worth of road work. They're planning to save money so that
Reserve.
in 10 years when they have to redo their, so that was the I wasn't sure. I'm not sure if that was clear or not. So I just want to clarify
Good,
that.
good.
So, okay. Council, increase the conference and mileage. I guess that what happens there is we get the, at the end of the year, we have some of the I think it's Roma conference expenses. So I have increased that up to cover those, because they're coming in. So again, but other than that, it was like a couple $1,000, a very small change. Economic development, the next page again on 21, that's unchanged. Fire. So we increased based on our previous discussions. So that's on page 22. We doubled the amount of the honorariums for the certification. That was based on the discussion that we had earlier about $200, or I think it was like $200 a day versus $400 a day, that type of stuff. So that's reflected in there. Yes. Councilor Peacock.
With regard to the surplus equipment sale, have we sold all our vehicles that we had, garage doors, things like that had been surplused over the year?
So I'm gonna let the chief maybe answer that. We haven't sold any of the vehicles yet, but we have had inquiries, but I'll let the chief discuss.
Yeah, so yes and no. Some of it's been sold, some of it hasn't. There are some vehicles that were sold throughout the summer. There's still Tanker 94 that's got to get surplused and then sold. And there is some equipment that we're working on to get into the auction to get sold.
And the garage doors, I'm not sure the status of those. I'll have to check on whether they were sold and what the proceeds were. Okay, so then I said, so pretty much most of it is unchanged, except
Just this comment on the certification, I have polled our people. And so the doubling or the 60,000 is kind of worst case scenario. I talked to the officers and I'm going to bring a report later with a couple options for the increase. So this is kind of just to get it in the budget for next year.
Okay.
So when you get to the capital items on page, page 25, you'll see some items were moved over that they're carried forward from last year. They have been ordered. The RFP went out and stuff, but they're not likely to be received and invoiced before next year. So they're added to the 2026 budget, and the 24,200 total, it was added to the reserves because of, we'll be using money that was in 2025's budget to cover it. So, and then the vehicles, the 800 and 600 for the pumper replacement, the pumper rescue and the pumper tanker. Those will be funded through reserve transfer of 1.4 million. You can see there, the rescue 14 replacement looks like it'll be going through the levy. Yeah, and then And then I believe the Intellus shower exhaust, we see below that, those items in yellow reflect grant, Sean submitted a grant application. And so those reflect items covered by the grant.
Okay.
Councillor Peacock?
Councillor Peacock?
Thank you. With regard to the M&R fire assistance, we don't have anything as an expense in there, but we have $90,000 as a revenue. Is there an offsetting expense to that, or is that strictly because it hasn't been calculated in for 2025 an expense? So how does that get recorded?
So that $90,000 cost recovery from TB number
Right.
9.
That was,
I actually, I believe that's actually, yeah, that's what we hope to recover from the CP Rail.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
So even though it happened in 2025, I won't get the actual invoice until basically 2026, because they invoice for the year
Mhm.
in January, February. So the invoice going out is actually all gonna happen in 2026. So I've got what the invoice is gonna be. I don't have the actual invoice yet.
So, but there's income on the top, there's an expense on the bottom, so it equals out.
yeah, it's on page 23, about halfway down,
Yep.
there is
right
no.
below the red, it's 90,000 M&R TB number 9.
Oh,
fire
okay.
assistance.
And
Sorry. I was
revenue.
looking at the one above that
Oh,
pink line that doesn't have anything in it.
okay, yeah, no, so this
And
is,
one further question with regard to the vehicles, Rescue 14 replacement. What type of vehicle are you looking for? Because $150,000, that's not like the previous chief had a van. So what type of vehicle are we looking at?
So it'll be modeled after Rescue 39 and 90. It's a F-350 crew cab. Is what we're proposing. And it's not getting replaced as a chief's vehicle, it's getting replaced as a command/rescue.
Councillor Best?
Yeah, just a question, I think for clarification, not only for us around the table, but also people listening in, so we know what we're doing here, is what's the difference between a pumper rescue and a pumper tanker? I think people need to know that because I wonder, these big numbers here, and there is people listening in and calling us, and I think if you explain that out, that would be help. So can you tell us what's the difference between the two?
Yeah, so the pumper tankers, our typical pumper trucks have got 1,000 gallons of water. The pumper tanker has got more water, 1,600 gallons worth of water. The sacrifice is less cabinet space, and they're typically two-seaters. The pumper rescue has got 1,000 gallons more cabinet space and 4 seats. So really, a pumper rescue has got rescue equipment on it, along with the firefighting equipment. Pumper tanker is more just either a pumper truck with the minimum suppression equipment, or it could be used as a tanker or water shuttle.
Can I just ask just a little further on that, because for clarification, we have rescue vehicles that have all that stuff on it. Why do we need to have that also on these pumper trucks?
So the rescue vehicles are typically first response rescue. We call them rescue vehicles, but they're really first response rescue vehicles. The Rescue 39 and 90 and potentially 14 are turning into more dual purpose, where they've got medical equipment on it along with some fire rescue equipment on them.
So you're telling me on the pumper rescue, you carry these stuff for accidents to get into vehicles and all that stuff? Okay, yeah, I think people need to understand, because when you're looking at those kind of numbers, they've asked me and I couldn't really clarify the whole thing, but I said, we'll make sure I'll ask at the meeting. And so I appreciate that. Thanks.
So if I could just add one other, just FYI, I received an email. The grant money for 2026, the fire department grant, has been approved. We don't have totals that we're gonna get contact from the, our advisors on how much we got. But there was a note that said that that grant money's been approved. I think there was 380 applications put in, which first year it was all but 4. I think it was close to 400 applications, so not quite as many applied. Which means we potentially will get more money than what we, our earmark was, so.
It's terrific.
So, oh, sorry, any more questions?
I was just looking to see how much that Generac would have to be added to the budget.
Yeah, so on page 26, there's a bluish purple spot. That should say $63,000 for the Generac. So if we're putting it back in, so that's the, and then again, the yellow items are the items highlighted in yellow are grant dependent items that we've identified or that Sean identified in his application. So I guess it would be depending on the amount of the grant, which combination that he would be doing. So.
And to clarify, the loan payment is for
Or
the vehicles that
vehicles that we've already.
we already have, okay, but they're just late receiving, okay.
Yeah. So
Okay,
any other questions?
Just
General,
one further, if
Go
I make, about the loan on the one truck is still just sitting there on 130, nothing's happening. When are we going to get used to that?
So the last I've heard is they're still hoping to get one delivered by the end of the year. The second one is the early part of Q1. But I haven't gotten an update from the deputy on the status of those yet.
Just, are you telling me that both trucks are sitting down there on 130? Because
They're-
one is sitting outside.
They're in the process of building both of them. One, I believe, is inside getting fitted with the pump.
Okay,
The second one is outside.
Yeah.
And they're, I think they're still building the box or painting the box. I'd have to check.
okay,
but
so they're both here in Thunder Bay, though.
They're both here in
I
Thunder Bay.
kind of thought that. Okay, thank you.
okay,
So general rec, I believe was largely unchanged. So. Yes, go ahead.
So, sorry, is that another application to NOHFC, or these projects have been previously approved by NOHFC? We're just waiting on them to be completed?
Yeah, so it's all related to the same NOHFC application, just using up the funds.
It has been approved, though?
I believe believe, I'll have to check with, well, maybe Chris can answer this, but I'll check with Brent, but I believe they have approved the use of the funds for the pavilion. But I'll have to check on that.
yes,
We're still waiting for the approval.
Okay.
We submitted the information about it, but we haven't been given an answer yet.
So if we don't get the grant, we don't do the project?
We have the monies.
Oh, okay.
It was in an approved prior grant. We had unspent funding, so we came up with some ideas for it. If they don't like those ideas, then we have some unspent grant money and,
Does it have to be returned?
well, that's a good question, but maybe we'd say, well, if you don't like those ideas, we'll come up with some other ones.
Exactly.
Okay.
We'll keep pitching ideas until they.
Until they say, okay, all right. Mhm.
So landfill is again is a transfer funds from the reserves to cover some of the costs associated with it. And again, this is really is a speculative item. The pre-engineering for the MTO impact, which we don't have a firm handle on, I guess. So, yeah.
just one question. You've got the Berry Drive roadway and the Spence Road it's gone.
Yes.
Can that money not come from the landfill site reserve, or does that money that's been put away all these years is only for redoing a landfill after the fact when it's closed?
So right now there's over $1 million that's dedicated to closure
Yeah,
of the landfill, so it can only be used for closure related activities.
and there's no other money in reserve for the landfill?
There's small landfill reserves. But I have to check exactly what they are related to.
It's just that I do know that I don't use the Spence Road, but I do use the Berry Drive, and it's been pretty rough. It keeps getting repaired, but it's a pretty rough road to go down at times.
Yeah, so right now there's no we have infrastructure reserve, which could apply to roads inside the landfill. But there's no reserve other than the
Closure?
closure and a vehicle reserve, which obviously wouldn't apply for
No.
Berry
So
Drive.
how much was taken out of the budget for those two roads? I don't have my old one with me, so. 75 and 50. So 125,000.
Yeah.
Sorry, but that road, those two roads are the most used roads in the whole municipality, and if they're rough, well, I'm just gonna leave it up to council.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you guys can put it in. The other thing you can do is you can, I'm not, is you can put in these two roads if they're higher priority. And then when we get to the public works, you can take two roads out of there that
Oh,
are
I'm not
higher.
thinking about taking two roads out of
Or
the,
you can,
I'm just thinking of taking that money out of reserve.
or you can take it out of reserve.
That's my thought. I think those two roads have to be. Yes.
Through the chair, you're exactly right. The Berry Drive landfill road has been patched numerous times. It's reached end of life. It manages a huge amount of volume 2 days a week compared to other roads that have impact 5, 7 days a week. So yeah, it's one of those things that needs to be done. I clipped them. Well, for round 2, we talked. I clipped them based on it can get another year, was the discussion point, Barry specifically, and I don't know where Spence lands. Like at the end of the day, is it a road or is it a driveway? So there was that discussion, I think, during draft 2. I think that's why they came out, and I'll stand by that.
Okay. Councillor.
Yeah, regarding to those roads, of course, I don't travel the south, but Spence Road, yeah, there's no doubt about it, was narrow, and they made quite an improvement by putting some pavement on the edges there, and that gives enough sufficient now. And the speed limit is at 50 kilometers an hour. Now, they don't all abide by that, but if they do, then there's no problem. I really appreciate when they fill the edges up, because people were tending to pull in the inside. So they did that improvement, and I keep thinking, yeah, well, only 2 days a week, and if 50 kilometers an hour, that we spend $50,000. The road itself, I mean, it's not the greatest, but again, 2 days a week and 50 kilometers an hour, if it has to come to where we got to look at saving money, then I could leave that for another year or two. But yeah, it could use an improvement. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Yeah, like I talk about the Berry because that's the one I drive.
Yes.
And I do know they patch it, but it's got a lot of holes in it at times. And it's not the fault of those that are working on the road. It's just the stuff keeps popping out, and so, but I will leave it up to the director of operations, so. Yes.
Good. Yeah, I just don't quite understand that pre-engineering, where are we that $100,000? Like, I realize, but MTO moves so slow. There could be another 5 years before we do anything there. Like, do we need to have that in the budget? I just a question. I just quite understand MTO, the way they operate. They're all over the map with what they're doing with their surveying, and I don't know where they're going to go. Are they going to go near there? Are they not? I don't know.
In Councillor Viss, it's transfer from reserve, so if it doesn't happen
Then it does.
out of reserve, so it doesn't affect the levy.
But it does show the reserve a lot better. I mean, if we don't pull them out of reserve, it shows our reserves at a better position.
Well,
That's
that's
all.
right. If they don't need it, they won't do it, then money stays in the reserve. There's really no effect to the levy.
Yeah, through the chair, the MTO/MTO impact could be actually discounted from this line item. It was put in there because we were talking about MTO impact, we were talking about the lot addition of lot 15. This is related to an overall landfill strategy to introduce the portion that's been allocated in lot 15 and added and come up with an overall site plan. It's probably a 2-year project
Okay.
that we would be doing that, bearing in mind that we feel we are going to lose land, even though we are fighting adamantly for that. We have to come up with a plan. And
Yeah.
the MTO/MTO impact was added because it was very pertinent at the time that we were discussing.
Yeah. And again, if it doesn't happen, money stays in reserve. So. Yes.
But could this be another case of similar to the one we were speaking about a few minutes ago for Twin City Crossroad, or the development that's close to this building, that there's a potential that something could happen and maybe we need to keep our options open by keeping it in here?
Through the chair, precisely, when lot 15, the zoning went through, and the discussion we had around our well monitoring and our wells that have to be fixed, like there's other capital work involved in the landfill to fix some wells, and we've developed some internal road network, and we're working towards this overall site plan. Part of that 100,000 would be to incorporate, obviously, where we have to have a discussion with our consultants as to where the wells can go. We have to do a topographic survey of the whole property. We have to do some geodetic surveying. There's some work that has to be done on the engineering side prior to the MTO coming in, I guess would be the right way to say it.
Yes.
If MTO gives us an idea of what they're planning on doing next spring, then we'll have a better idea of what to do with this line item.
Again, we've had those conversations with the MTO. They're
They're added.
well intended on bringing a proposal forward with public consultation late April. If they do not deviate from what their proposed design is, we have to be ready to go.
Well, just my point on that, Marush, is, and I understand that has nothing to do with the levy, but we heard at the onset when they said that there is quite a draw on our reserve. My point is, if you take this one and that one, leave them in the reserve, it doesn't look as bad. There's nothing stopping this council in May, June, July, a resolution say we're going to draw X number of dollars because we're going to do that project. That's all I'm saying. It just, what do you want it to look like? It's not going to change a whole lot. What do we want it to look like?
But
Then the draw is heavy on, it doesn't need to be, because there's a whole lot that may never happen. And so leave it in there, and if it needs it, then we'll pull it out. That's all I'm trying to say. Not that it's going to matter a whole lot. It looks better if we don't draw that much out.
Just one question of the treasurer. Do you take this money out once this budget is approved, or do you leave it in reserve until the project actually happens?
No, if you recall, a couple of years ago, we sent the report to council where on January 1st, we do the entries to remove the funds from reserves.
Okay.
That was the direction that we received
Mhm.
back in 2023, 2024. The councilors felt it better reflected the use. So right now, on January, not on the 1st because no one's working on the 1st, but in January, it will be taken from reserves.
Yes.
Yes.
We have to remember, though, that when we take from reserves, there's a distinction between reserve funds and reserves, and that's just a paper entry. We take, this money out of the general surplus and put it into the reserve. When we fool around with the reserve funds, that's different. And we're actually moving cash around.
Yeah.
Mhm. So this item you have here that you've given us, have you already taken those amounts out of the reserve?
No, well, they
Oh.
are. So if you look if you looked at this, so they're not in, they are 2025, sorry, that should say 2026 beginning, actually, sorry. I'm surprised Councilor Peacock didn't catch that mistake. For me.
So that's 2026. I was
2026
wondering,
begin, yeah,
I
and
was
then,
wondering, why is he duplicating
Yeah.
all of this?
and then you, all of these transactions
Mm-hmm.
are in here, so for example, if you looked at landfill, you will see, it's 175, but it should only be 75 and the 100 should be up higher, I guess, into the first line. But these amount, all of the reserves are on this sheet. All the reserve draws that we've made are on the sheet, which show a 3 million approximately reserve draw for 2026.
2026 and
2026 and at the end, yeah.
Yes, Wayne?
Yeah, with regard to this schedule, treasurer did make some adjustments to it. You'll see there the 2025 transfer to, that's your second column from the left. Working funds is getting approximately $2.4 million. And what that is the proceeds of the loan that's pending with Infrastructure Ontario. We're borrowing approximately 3 million, but we need to take some of that money and replenish our general fund. We have a deficit on our balance sheet, our audited statement, so that's the amount that actually will be freed up for reserves. So at the end of the year, according to the schedule, there'd be a 5.2 million approximately still left in reserves and reserve funds.
5.2, not 3.2? Oh, at the bottom. Okay, yes. Okay. So this would come back to us again,
Yeah.
to council back again in July, May,
Oh,
June.
true, yeah.
Yes.
The other point to make, last year we received about 5.5 million in tipping fees from OPG. 3 million of that will be sending to one jib. The other 2.5 million will be in our bank, and that's not on the schedule.
It's not shown here.
That's
So
right.
just
Right.
so what is council's wish with that 100,000?
Well, if we're gonna add the 2 million, well, leave it
Yeah.
alone.
I say, leave it alone.
But it's not here, so instead of drawing it out, then we'll have a plus on that side with that 2.1 million.
That's right.
Okay, whatever.
Okay, library.
Library's unchanged, livestock's unchanged. Yes, sir.
With regard to the library, had we not talked about the possibility of putting a security system in that building as well? Or would there is
Yeah.
something in that building currently, but
So I've reached out to T-Baytel, but they haven't come back with a quote yet
okay.
for the library security system. So I suspect it would be based on what the other quotes we've got. It'll be between 6,000 and 8,000 for each of the two buildings. It just depends on how many cameras they need and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Like I don't know them well enough to say if you can get away with 1 or 2 or 3. So livestock's unchanged. Murillo Hall, it's unchanged as well. So just note on the funding is going to be coming from the existing NOHFC grant. So
Okay, it's existing, okay.
yeah. So but doesn't change anything. The museum, I don't know what to say about the museum. So I think the electrical inspection was added. And this is a wish list. Some of it's grant dependent, and some of it's from reserves. So I guess we'll see if they get their grant. And we'll see with the reserves. They identified, I think they identified the first I think on that list from which says from 1 to 11 down near the bottom, I think the first the first 4 were their highest priorities, and the rest were items that they'd like to get done.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
Yeah, yesterday, I was at the museum board meeting and I presented this draft 2 of the museum budget to the board. They were pleased to see that council is going to be drawing $29,100 to take care of the small items that are on page 39 and the bottom of 38. We did talk about, though, those items you see that are in the middle there of page 38. They're dependent on a grant from NOHFC. We tried to get that money out of the OTF last year, but didn't work out. And in the conversations yesterday, I explained that we want to get that electrical assessment done first before we apply, because we want to know what are we looking at with the renovations to the second floor of the general store. In particular, you'll see electrical repair and upgrade, $10,000. Having the electrical assessment done, we'll have a better idea of what we're really looking at when we go to do something with the general store. The other thing that I mentioned was, it's not on this budget list. We don't have a quotation for it. The Red Barn assessment. The Red Barn assessment would need to come out of the museum reserve. What that might cost, we don't know.
Yes.
Just for clarif- on that assessment of the Red Barn, it just to get an engineer to say they can go in there to clean stuff out. That's it, period, right? There was no intent of using it. They just wanted to remove all that was in. Is that correct?
It would be to use it, I believe, as a storage building.
Oh,
That's primarily the idea, and not as a public assembly building, but as a storage building. So there still are some requirements of a building to make sure that it's safe for that purpose. There would be the structural element in the assessment, but also the health and safety. There were discussions about the condition of the building in terms of, is there any mold in it? Is there animal feces and other kinds of issues? So that's what will also be included, a structural and also the health and safety element.
The top floor of that barn is nothing but magazines and books, and it's been water leaking on there for years. So I wouldn't go up there if I was.
well, that's my point, Marilyn. We did a tour of that barn, and I don't know why they need storage. I think they need to remove because, and I think the board knew that. They said there's way too much junk up there. We don't need that. We got to get that out of there. And I think that's the point. They'd like to get in there and get some of that out of there, you see, because there's, I don't know, 20 stoves, 30 something of this and skis and stuff. It was unbelievable what we've seen. So they're trying to get rid of that if they can. So
Yeah, I have a very bad feeling that when someone goes in there and checks that, they will tell you don't go in that building unless you've got a hazmat suit on, because it's dangerous. That's all magazines and books on the very top floor and chairs. So if water's been leaking on there and it's been growing mold, it'd be very unsafe. That's just my personal thought. But it should be assessed before they go in there.
oh, definitely.
And this 29,100 comes out of their reserve.
Mhm.
Just
that's
in
the
case we're asked.
capital reserve.
Yes.
Thank you. There was just one small change that we had talked about yesterday at the museum meeting, and they're looking at getting a program to use to better make the archive system better for the use of the volunteers there. So anyways, it's a minimal cost, but it's probably going to be about, because the program comes from the States, it's probably going to be about $800. So that's I'm sure that there'll be somewhere that can come out of the existing
Yeah, thanks for reminding me about that, Councillor Peacock. There was discussion about the archive system. Right now, they've got an archive system that's on a standalone computer, and it's doesn't work. It's not easily interface with the user, the one thing, and then the other part is you need to back up on little disks and take them home and so forth. It's that kind of thing. This same software, you can get the online version. So you over the internet back up all your files in the cloud. So it's superior to what we have now, but the license fee is probably around $800. Then there was some discussion about the amounts in there for telephone and internet, and I wasn't able to answer them properly. So we'll take a look at that to see if we need to adjust some of those lines there, but it's not going to be large monies, a few $1,000s. But we'll need to change up some things, I think.
I'll come out of their reserve. Yeah. Okay, any other questions?
Okay,
Rose?
Norwest Recreation. So the big change here was council decided not to pursue the NOHSC grant application. So the oh, council.
Oh, you know that.
No,
So okay,
you can just,
right.
you can just sit there and,
Resolution is for when you do the additional items, to the agenda.
mhm, yes. It's on,
So anyway, so that item, that revenue and associated expenses have been removed.
The
So
land purchase too?
the land purchase was part of it. So now we remaining items we have in yellow. They're related to the Community Infrastructure Fund application. That we did some of the work last year that was required. There's some stuff being carried forward. And then there are just some minor housekeeping items that are I don't call minor housekeeping, but required maintenance on the building that are being funded out of reserves.
Wayne, you had something?
Yes, I did. The addition was under you on the agenda, so that resolution could be dealt with when we're talking about the Norwest budget. On your agenda, I don't know if you have the updated one, but I do it, in the addition to the agenda, it's you, item U.
We can deal with it, sure.
I just, that's where it is on the list here for me, so I thought we
Yeah,
take care of that.
Bye, Bernie.
Don't go too far.
Won't take long. So
Say he's gone.
Yeah, that's right.
does everyone have a copy of this resolution?
No.
I'll read it. That the following resolutions pertain to report number 2025.86 Norwest Recreation Center Expansion Project passed at the council meeting held on April 30th, 2025 be rescinded. Resolution number 1722025 that with respect to report 2025.86 we recommend endorsement of the application for the Norwest Recreation Center Expansion Project to Stream 2 new builds of the Community Sport and Recreation Infrastructure Fund be approved. Resolution number 1732025 and with respect to the report number 2025.86, we recommend submission of a stage 1 application to the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation HFC for the Norwest Recreation Center Expansion Project be approved. So we want to take care of those two resolutions.
Any discussion? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. You can come back, Bernie. We're at planning and development. Yes, I'm sorry.
Just one question. What's the status of our Zamboni? Oh, I'm sorry. Is it-
No, Chris could give you the exact date, but we have a serial number. We have confirmation from the builder that it's built and it's on its way. So it should be here shortly.
I hope we get the machine that matches him a serial number.
Through the chair, the delivery date that I've been told is January the 10th.
Wonderful.
So as far as, I think they left Montreal yesterday. So as
2027.
far as the timing, the bill will be here you know, let's call it the gray area right after the year end, and we'll pay it through and we'll put it to work.
Okay, terrific. Sure, everyone will be excited to see the new machine.
So it's on Santa's sleigh, is that it?
Yes, that's,
You had to add a few reindeer though. Okay, planning and
plan
development,
development, no change.
public works.
Public Works, there's no change in the operating component of Public Works. Operating part of Public Works. But go ahead, Councilor Picard.
Thank you. Same question that I had with regard to the fire department. What's the status of our used equipment? Do we have anything left? We had talked about the tin off the garage roof and some vehicles and things like that. So have we got another thing going to Gov Deals or whatever it is?
So currently we have a steamer ready to go to Deals, January posting. The tin has been sorted by size, based on whether we get the grant for the pagoda in Murillo. That tin is scheduled to go there. If we don't get the grant, it goes for sale. I've had numerous people that want it, and I've been fighting them off with a stick to keep it. The plow truck went, not Unit 25 went in the Ritchie Brothers sale last November or last month. It went. We got a good dollar for it. The sander unit went. The loader was traded in. We received our new loader this morning. I had the serial number in the training this morning, so that was a done deal. So yeah, we're just waiting to hear back on the tanker 94, and it'll be parlayed together with the steamer, and we'll get it out there as quick as we can.
So it's possible that $30,000 is low as far as anticipated revenue from these items?
30,000 for which item? Sorry.
It just says sale of used equipment for roads. Estimate budget is $30,000.
We're beyond that.
Okay,
So that for 2026 though,
yes.
I don't,
2026, the only vehicle we're getting is a backhoe, and we anticipate higher than that at current market conditions.
Mm-hmm.
that'll be traded in on the backhoe and
Mhm.
Not necessarily.
Too.
so. So. There's no changes in operating, so capital, Public Works capital, remove the options 2 through 4. So it seemed to be settled on more or less of a program. The big thing is the removal of Hearthstone Bridge, which we all talked about when it was coming out anyways, and the Hearthstone Bridge pre-engineering, as well as the Twin City Highway 11, 17-130. That was removed approximately $1 million as well. And then we added the list, I guess the preferred option, and these are the roads and the costs associated with each of the roads. Individual roads are listed.
Councillor Peacock?
Thank you. For the roads, again, we have had a developer come in to discuss the possibility of wind towers up north. Now, would we be premature in double surface treatment for some of these roads or surface treatment where the towers are going to go? We're going to have big equipment in there. So should we hold off until that project comes through, or I'm just not sure on, just a thought. But my real concern is with regard to drainage improvements, Vibert, old highway right away. Could we get a further explanation on that? Because there are developmental constraints, environmental protection, it's open space. I'm just wondering what the reason is for that, because it goes against our official plan and zoning bylaw as far as any kind of work to be done on that property.
Through the chair, it's not specific to a property. It's the old Vibert Road that used to cross the highway that lines up straight with the where the highway used to go. There is a collapsed failed pipe. There was 2 twin pipes in there initially. One is completely gone and the other one is down to 4 meters at the top and eroding as we speak. That culvert, that price of that work is just to replace 1 pipe. That's the pipe price. It's a public works project. And as far as permission and environmental, we're not changing anything other than changing the pipe to maintain a safe access. People use that road for getting water, and they use it to hang out and watch the beavers. And we're fully aware of what in and around that area. It is not a developmental change. It's a drainage improvement to something that has failed.
Okay,
So that'll then be Conservation Authority, everything all has to fall in with that?
Through the chair, that's correct. Anytime we work at these environmentally sensitive areas, whether it's McCluskey, whether it's Miller Heights, whether it's Pineview, or it's Vibert, we totally engage with the appropriate authorities.
Okay, thank you for the explanation.
One of the items again in here is we'll go through these. We have a contribution to MTO project Twin City at 250,000, which we have not specifically said is going to come from a reserve. We are taking 500,000 from reserves, which is consistent with what we do in the past. Again, this is a speculative item. Right now, it's actually coming from the levy because it wasn't identified dedicated reserve to it. I would, if we want to take it from reserve in 2026, I believe there'll be plenty of opportunity to have a council meeting and discuss it and draw it from reserves at that time. Having it on the levy, given that it's a speculative project, doesn't really seem to make any sense at all, because you're asking the taxpayers today to pay for something like it's on, they're going to be on their tax bill or something that may or may not happen. Again, I would push back on MTO that we would cover any of these costs, but that's not there. But like I said, so I would suggest that given that it's on a levy, I would suggest that we take it off and consider it in 2026 as if it does come forward, that and we look at a reserve to fund it.
Yeah.
So
I just want to be very cautious that, and I'm sure that the Director of Operations has taken a really good look at it. This municipality is very well known for maintenance of our roads. The fact that the majority of them are hard surfaced. We do have some people that are very jealous that we live in a municipality where all the roads are so well taken care of. I don't want to see the budget for roads cut to the point that we're going to start seeing things happening in the roads. But 500 is coming from the reserve. How do you know the 250 isn't coming out of the 500?
Well, because if you take this 250 out, you'll still have the 500 from reserve, and that would cover the surface treatment projects that we have listed here. If you leave that 250, and that would reduce our levy by 250,000. So because the 500,000 reserve only covers a small portion of the 2.7 million, by removing this, it does impact our levy by 250,000.
To a 1% increase?
Less than that.
So why are we doing this?
Well, no, it would reduce our 250. Taking this out, again, I'm not saying, first off, it's not an actual, it doesn't actually improve or change the quality of our roads. Like you said, it talks about, we have good roads. That's what items like on the bottom there from surface treatment 92 down. Those are things that actually improve the quality of the road. This is a speculative item that may or may not be related to a project that MTO is doing on Twin City Crossroads.
The MTO indicated that that intersection will get the lights done in 2026.
Have they indicated we have to pay $250,000?
We do have to pay some of that. I know we do. When the intersection connects to us, there's a certain portion of things that we have to pay for, if we like it or don't. That's the way it works.
you council makes a decision. I'm just pointing out that, you know, if we want to, this is coming
don't-
from the levy, and if you want to reduce the levy, look for opportunities, and then, you know, like, and we talked about speculative items that we do or don't do and how they end up in levy. So I'm just saying that, you know,
I personally, I'm satisfied with the levy as it is now.
it's at 3.63. So if we remove, Yeah.
I'm happy with
Yeah.
that when the cost of living is going up more than that. Yes.
Just curious, where did, I mean, 250 seems like a strangely round number, so where did that come from?
So through the chair, the predicted cost for what the original design was for the intersection with Islands is about 2.5 million. Based on our impact and how they have to do tie-ins into our right of way, I'm assuming a 10%. That's all it was. It was an engineer's estimate for the design, and I covered 10% as being ours.
Yeah, we do have to pay certain portion.
There could be, we don't have any current utilities in the way. So there's no impact on our utilities. There's no cost on our end, but I just feel that there's going to be at one point in time, here's what we're doing. Here's our schedule. Here's the budget. We need you guys to do X. And that's all it was.
Yes,
Through the
Councillor.
chair, sorry, through the chair. These speculative things, again, they may or may not happen. I agree with what everybody's saying. We can bring it back later, take it off now, bring it back later, when these things do happen, right? So.
And then they're going to come for sure out of the reserve, not off the levy.
Again, how we move the money in and out is totally up to what you want to see on your balance sheet.
Yes. Oh, Councillor
Well,
Bliss.
just coming back to your remarks, Marlucy, you're happy with that increase. Well, I stated right at the beginning with the meeting that I'm not happy, and now it got worse since I came here because we're now looking at 5.25% increase. That's the growth in the levy. I mean, that we don't need to do that. Nobody else is expected to spend 5% in living, and that's too high for suit me. But it's council decision, and when we make the decision, here's something $250,000 that is speculation. That why would we not? It's directed already to levy. If you don't have any intention of moving what we're at that 5.25, well then let's get over it and we're done and we're out of here. I'm not happy with it, and I'll tell you that right now, so I'm voting against that 5.25% increase. And so let's make a decision where we're going. Is everybody happy with the 5.25? Then move on.
I believe it
Because
says-
otherwise we're wasting our time here. This directly shows our levy increase of $250,000 we may not even use, and we're putting today's taxpayer on for somebody else down tomorrow.
So, but it's a 2.99% increase according to the piece of paper I have here.
3.63, they said, and a 1.66 growth we had in the reported good meeting.
Yes, but I said I'm happy with the 2.99.
Yeah, but we're not 3.63. We're not moving anything. We haven't moved a thing. We've moved up from the 2.99 to 3.63.
That
That's
was
my
with-
point. We've gone the wrong direction.
That's with the generator. We haven't approved the generator yet.
Well, it's in here so far.
No, it's,
We haven't moved anything, Marlucy.
the generator's not in here. The amount is not in here. Yes,
Could we please, this year, put the OCIF grant to the water system? That we talked about budgets that have more money in them than they spend. It's possible with the way projects happen, some are under, some are over, that Public Works has extra money in a capital budget over the years, or has had over the years, but I know I've said it, I don't know how many times, but I would like that moved to the water system, because we have to be honest with our people. The rest of the taxpayers are paying for that water system. There's no doubt about it. And the expenses could be offset by that grant. So just my thoughts. Anybody else?
The water system, the construction's already done. So we have to take a look at our balance sheet items. I know we had an account for keeping track of our water deficit. But we'd have to look at the balance sheet accounts and determine how we may do that. It would be not moving this year's OCIF, but making some adjustments if we were using OCIF from previous years.
We have,
So,
sorry, we have 246,000 in capital for this year that you could apply the OCIF to. But it wouldn't use all of it, but well, which is fine. You don't have to use all of it in one department. So there are, you know, that, I mean, it's really, it's related to the generator, I guess. I opened a can of worms with that one. But yeah, so maybe we can ask about the OCF when we get to the water. We can just focus on the roads.
How much is the OCIF? Isn't it like 400 or 500 or something?
It's 500
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
So it's more than what,
570.
more
So
than what is required?
So we would use less than half for the water system, and you say 40% for the water and 60% for the roads. Or we could use it 40% for the water and 20% for the arena and
Mhm.
20% for the roads, however you decide to divvy it out. So-
Sure.
And I do appreciate the breakdown of the on pages 50 and 51 as far as surface treatment and how much it's going to cost basically per household. Those are interesting facts.
Yeah, again, it will take several years to pay off $35,000 of paving for the residents of Everett Drive. This is to expand or to replace the gravel with a hard top, so. So,
I don't think it's totally fair to be saying to the people that live on a certain road, your road cost X number of dollars to get done because other roads were done.
yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not saying to you, but I'm just saying personally,
Yeah.
every road that's done in this municipality is paid by all the taxpayers.
Right,
Some of them live on gravel for years before they finally get the road done, but they've been paying for other roads to get done. So to come to a resident, like personally, I would never tell a resident, you know, you look what we spent on your road. No, all of us spent that kind of money on that road. It's
I'm
only
just
fair to everyone.
the metric out there so that you can gauge the cost.
Oh, I realize
At the end of
that.
the day, we have to make a decision based on what you decided the final levy is gonna be.
Mhm.
And, you know, it may involve more costs, it may involve less costs, but you need to have the information.
I would just say too, because a lot of these roads are commuter roads, because I know more than people that live on our road use our road. It's
Mhm.
it's like crazy how many people use our road. So it's kind of a, like you say, a misconception of there's only X amount of people on that road that use it. That's.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have traffic studies for the roads. That would be the better, obviously better way is if we took the MTO little, you know, boxes and put them up and studied each road
Yeah.
before we did it.
Yeah.
But we don't have
It is
that,
what it
so
is.
I use the proxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As an estimate. So-
It's,
Through the chair, this metric that you're talking about, number of houses, it was not the intent to cost per house. The intent was we had 81 houses affected by 17 roads that were gravel. So when the metric came through, or when the blessing came through to which option with a set value, we went into our existing road program, took out 2/3 to carry on. And the last third came from this. So we covered off a third of the expansion basically in 1 year. And we covered off 25 houses from the 81 that were still living on a gravel road.
right.
And the dollar value that's associated with each run, it wasn't necessarily a dollar value. It's based on, we're gonna do Everett Drive because we're doing Everett Drive ahead of it. It's the
Mhm.
economy of scale. We're working in the area, we'll pick off the ones that we can.
Yes,
It wasn't intent that, you know, that road cost $38,000.
no.
It was a metric based on how to do the whole program, which was presented to you as option 4. If we would have done all 81 houses, it would have been $1.2 million. So This is the split when you guys chose the 800,000 of the blended program.
Mhm. Yes, no, I understand that. I'm just saying that I've had people say that, you know, a road gets redone or a road gets done and yeah, do you know how much that costs? Really, it doesn't matter because those people have been paying for my road to be hard surfaced all those years too. Yes.
And conversely, I've also had people say, what do I get from the municipality? I
Yes.
live on the provincial highway. You don't do anything for
I
me.
know.
So, I mean, it
Get the same thing, I know.
goes, both-
A landfill site.
yeah, the fire department.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember. I realize that, but they also get the fire department and they get a lot of things, yes.
Yeah, I mean, taxes are service or money that everybody pays for everybody in the community.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
well,
And I did ask John yesterday with regard to the cemetery road work. Thank you for clarifying that earlier because I thought Tysosky, Atwood, and well, Oak Leaf is pretty close, but I thought if we were putting money towards the cemetery road work, that it would work in conjunction with those three roads that are so close to it. But now I thank for the explanation that that's a 10-year program.
Yeah, that was brought up during the meeting.
Yeah.
About, we'll put this down the road.
Okay,
Where do we get?
so talked about what is your feeling about the 250,000 for the contributions to the MTO project? Leave it in or take it out?
Well, you know my feeling, out.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we had a levy increase, including that generator, what, 5.25? With the growth and the tax rate. So if you take out 250,000, you drop to a very low overall tax rate.
That's right.
So I'm not sure if that's what you want to do. So it's back to that question, is the 167 growth, that's set in stone. What do you want for a tax rate increase? So that started at 299. Councillor Viss would like something lower than that. What is the target? And then to get things to work out to that effect, you can change around some of the reserve draws. We saw earlier in the meeting with the end of the year, what we're doing now, we will have 5.2 million. So taking another 100,000 or 200,000 of reserves to get our target tax rate seems to be the way to do it.
Just for clarification, then, if you take that 250 out, that's about 2.5% increase in the levy, right? Is that
Yeah.
correct? Okay, so if you take that, and then if you take whatever when you end up to the number where you're looking at, you take, because we're taking $500,000 out of transfer out of reserves, and so whatever we don't think we need goes back in against the transfer out of there. So you don't need to have to drop, well, it drops down that low. I mean, if you got to decide where you want to be at. And so whatever, if by taking this out and you can move that back and take it less out of reserve to get to the number where you want to be at.
Yeah, but that $250,000 wasn't for sure coming out of the 500,000. That was an annual
Oh, I
Out of
understand. No,
reserve.
that comes right out of the levy, the 250,000.
250, but not it doesn't mean that the 500 has to change.
Well, we would draw less.
Well, because it was being used for.
Well, if we take, say, 150,000 out of that, then you've got 1.5% right there that comes back out of the 500,000 reserve.
Yes.
Yeah, right. The 500,000 is not designated for any particular
Correct.
thing. I'm just saying if we drop 250,000 in expenditure, then we're going to have our tax
Move it up.
levy go down 2.5%. So we go from 5.25 to what, 275? Is that what we want?
That's correct. And if that's
75
not,
overall?
want to go to 3.4, you go to 1.25 up and take that add that to out of the reserve. Simple. Yes.
Or you could reduce the debt.
Yeah. Well, in one way or the other. But yeah, I think my point is like, we've got to get to a point, where do we want to be at? Right now, nobody's said where we're at. I've said we're too high. I like to have seen it. I was hoping that we dropped 1% of what we had before he came in with the additional. which you said is maybe not in anyway. So we're looking at 2.99. So if we drop down then and 1% out of that and add the 1.66 for a 3.5% increase in taxes.
But before growth, then we would be at a 1.99%.
2.99, we 1.99, 2% approximately, yes.
It's the lowest this township's ever been, I think, as a 2% increase.
But we're so fortunate, Mayor Lucia, look at the growth we have, and this is only the small growth. Wait till these big numbers, the 144 million in 2 years from now, when that comes into your assessment, look where you're gonna be at. A lot of people are gonna love sitting around this table, say, oh, look at the income and the assessment.
This is what I just think that, oh, well.
Takes that long for the assessment to pick up, you see?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's where I'm at.
Do we get assessment on hydro
No,
But I get nothing on that. Well, that portion is out, so we don't know how many dollars that is.
we won't get any assessment on
I would suggest we just get through the rest of the items and then we'll talk about the generator and stuff like that and talk about water. Then revisit the discussion.
Okay. Right.
So we kind of talked about 50 and 51. They're just the details of for the time to the individual roads. So if you have any questions about the details. Roslyn, the kitchen upgrade was removed. So that was a decision that you guys made at the last meeting.
And that was just cupboards and things like that?
Yeah.
Was it not?
Yeah. Yeah. Then there's nothing, no change with SNAMs or the South Garage. Streetlights, again, we have the 85,000 for fixtures, which may or may not be a thing. I don't know, we have any firm confirmation from MTO. And again, is hitting our levy. Could also be changed in reserves, whatever you guys decide on that one. So with streetlights, the only item is the MTO transfer. And the status of that is at this point is indeterminate.
And with that MTO, should those fixtures be downloaded, then in the future, we're going to have to increase our contracted services to provide maintenance to those. Am I correct in that thought?
I assume we would get them in a working condition, so we don't have to maintain them this year, but in future years, I think. So, and the 85,000 would cover any of the repairs, I would assume as well, if we don't get them in a good condition. But so, I mean, I don't know what choices we have. We have a whole hard line that says, no, we don't want these. We have not, they're not in our budget.
And should the lights be installed at Twin City and Arthur Street 130, will that then be MTO's responsibility to maintain or ours?
Very good question.
I guess the answer is we don't know.
I need to point out, no maintenance to around it.
Through the chair, I'd like that comment withdrawn from the record.
Yeah.
I'm not, through the chair, I'm not being facetious by any stretch, but as you can see littered throughout this budget is a whole bunch of next level provincial bureaucracy that we're currently doing. All these portfolios are coming due. We just finished 4 years of nobody working on James Street. They've all been mandated back. We think these potential problems are coming through. And we're just trying to say these things are on the agenda. Would I rather do $85,000 in surface treating? Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Any other questions on the streetlights? Nope.
Mhm.
Okay, so we'll move on to the water. So in terms of the operating budget for the water, the Aqua contract has come up for discussion. I guess they sent I got a letter from them indicating that they're looking at a higher rate. And they suggested 105,000, and it may be higher, maybe lower, but if we pay them 105,000, if it's lower, they'll give us the difference. If it's higher, we have to pay the difference. I believe Wayne and Chris were in actual discussions with Aqua representatives, so they can maybe provide more details.
That's about the size of it.
Yeah.
So you have to see how it comes about.
So you can see, so it transfer from the balance sheet, the second item, that 105 is basically the operating deficit for the year. Or to run it, so. Okay, and then if we flip over to the next page. This is where the capital is. So right now, we're looking at a $200,000 transfer from reserves. That largely covers the backup generator. We could apply OCIF money to this and reduce the reserve transfer and use that reserve transfer in public works, for example. But so that's a decision. So I guess it's so.
Councillor Kempoff?
Just curious for those that discussed with them, what was the justification behind the significant increase in the Aqua contract?
Yes.
Yeah, that was up for debate. We didn't think their figures were correct. But you know, to get a contract together, the idea is it's reconciled at the end. So we would pay this amount and then reconcile it. And yeah, that does there's the concern about that you've already given the money, how do you get it back? Paying at that rate, but we would need to be monitoring the time and other things that they do there, and we have some ideas on how to do that.
Councillor Viss?
Yeah, and this is a question I don't think anybody's gonna have an answer for. We know it's gonna cost us $100,000 to operate the thing, and that's gonna be a loss year after year after year. The point is, I guess the question I have, we look at the capital expenditure year after year after year, and here we are again at $246,000 in capital expenditure. When will we get to the point where the majority of the major costs of that will be gone? Like what does staff see coming down the pipe that's going to really cost us the next couple of years that you think we need to do? I don't know if you have the answer, but this is what is going to kill us.
So through the chair, the generator is an issue that came up when we had the power outage.
Yep.
The way it's wired,
Sure.
we have a lot more amps. We're tapped out. That's a one-off, and the generator's been there since 2011, I believe, is when it got installed. It's done well. Plant's twice as big, need a bigger generator. In regards to capital going forward, as you can see, we got a $40,000 well this year, south well. The video came back again. As I mentioned, I could show it to you. It's not very favorable. And we got $40,000 next year for the north well.
Okay, so you
So
know,
at that point in time, both the wells are done, generator's new, building's none, arsenic works. It's just operating.
Yeah.
In the books. yeah.
Okay, I guess that was my question. I'm glad to hear that because finally we get, we've sat here for a number of years and we do have to provide water. I mean, that was the agreement we made with those people, so you can't change that. But, and I'm really happy to hear what you're saying there. It looks like there's an end to the major capital expenditures and that maybe somewhere along the line we'll move along.
Yes, Wayne?
There's never an end.
I know,
When
but
you have
you're like this.
Assets are like kids that never move out. You're always got to pay for them.
Carol?
They do
That
move
was,
out.
that was what I was gonna say. 1971 system went online, 2026, totally redone, including the wells. Okay, so that's what, 55 years? More capital required in 2081.
Hallelujah, I'm out.
Councillor Peacock?
Yeah.
Thank you. I think that we would really get a better idea as to where we're at once we get the Q4 numbers, because to the best of my knowledge, last meeting or the meeting before, we approved another $200,000 from the reserves to this water system. So
5,000.
25,000? Okay, so that's not calculated into the expenses to date, but we had talked about an increase in rates to the residents using the system. And will that then be reflected, like, we have nothing in water meter maintenance, so if we're gonna put the people using the water meters on, do we anticipate that there's going to be some maintenance required to those meters there that were put in 2 years ago?
So if, I mean, this is a real challenge here because, so if we were to separate the capital from the operating, and the principle is that the municipality covers the capital cost because it's a municipal asset, then applying the OCIF funding to the capital actually would make some sense here for in this case. If we go back then the users are responsible for the operating costs based on the current operating costs. You're looking at $460 a month. Over $460 a month per operator, or per user, which, I mean, obviously, since they're not drinking water there now, they'd be, they would be very reluctant to pay. And even if they were drinking the water, I suspect they would be very reluctant to pay. So, yeah, so we have to come up with a system to cover we'll have to break down the operating costs into even more finer into supply and versus maybe monitoring, which again, the municipality is responsible for the monitoring costs or something like that. So to Councillor Peacock's, this is a long-term solution that won't be solved in now. And maybe if we get the drinkable water in 2026, we can gather enough data to come up with a suggestion for the 2027 budget.
Any further questions? Yes, Councillor Peacock.
Do we have the projects that have been completed this year or set to complete? Do we have any holdbacks that will be due in 2026 that aren't in the budget?
I don't, if it is a holdback for work completed, it's already expensed in 2025. So, I don't see any that we would be looking at doing, but.
Yes, Councillor.
So this 200,000 for the new backup generator. I'm assuming some of those costs would be costs that would be incurred to get the old generator moved and all the other stuff. So just to get a sense of can you give us a little better sense of the breakdown of those costs maybe?
So through the chair and the admin budget, we've carried $15,000 just basically to hook up on this end. There's going to be a concrete pad made on this end. Again, we'll try to do all that in-house. In this particular case, on that other side, you're probably looking at about 145,000 for the generator. The pad's got to be bigger. We would build that. And because we have two panels, so to speak, the new building and the old building, we have to marry that through the transfer switch. So there's some cabling and some electrical work to be required. So yeah, it's 30,000 of miscellaneous electrical. The cable we're dealing with is about 2-inch diameter. It's heavy voltage, heavy amps, and based on a generator. So yeah, there's some modifications to the tie in the two distinct plants and panels right now. Included in that work would be some, we're going to move some of the tech cable that goes to the small 100-amp panel. We're going to bring that the other way and put it to the 200-amp panel. So we're going to balance the load in the panels and have the one generator run both. So. And we're using a crane to over and out. So there's some operating expenses there as well.
I would suggest to council that I think it should be done. You want to take the money out of reserve is fine, whatever, but I think it should be done. In 2026.
I agree having it done too. I agree having that other generator here, like
Yeah.
very
just
much so,
Do them all.
with auto, the auto transfer and everything with it. We're not worse around than it's on demand.
Yeah, through the chair, there's an opportunity at an RFQ. We want to tie all three projects together.
Mm.
There's a small transfer switch that may work for Kekabeka Fire Hall that we would take from Roslyn, go over there to the fire hall, put the new one there to take both panels, and then swap the generator. So it'd be an RFQ to go for all three potential places, and then use the parts as required at each spot. Currently, the Kekabeka Fire Hall is on an electrical RV plug. Just you want an automatic shut. You want an automatic start with a smaller generator. Then we have a switch available potentially,
Hmm.
and we're looking at repurposing to get the third one to run.
Right.
Okay, Councillor Peacock?
Back to Public Works. Is there a reason that we need to spend that much money on office supply, office desks, et cetera, in that back room?
Through the chair, that's 3 workstations. And the cost of one that has been happening in the last couple of years around here is in that $300 to $3,500 mark between ergonomic chair and desks and stuff like that. So I put an escalator for 12 to get 3 workstations at $4,000 a piece.
Yes, and that's a health and safety matter. Okay, any other thoughts about the generator? You feel we
Just
should
a
go?
question on the water. How are we with the water? Drinkable now, or have the tests come through yet? Where are we at now?
Through the chair, we have ferric acid coming in sometime before Christmas, and we have a vendor lined up for January the 5th to install the pump and the mixer and start the trial.
Well, then we still have a trial yet.
Still got 2 weeks after that.
Oh, for 2
Mid-January, we're hoping to have it off.
Thank you. At least we're moving. Good,
Mhm.
thank you.
Again, now I've had one comment beside my own in regards to the generator. What is your thought about getting the generator?
Well, Mayor Lucia, we have no choice. If
But it's a
the cuts
question of-
out, then here we are to boil water again. So we have to have something that's gonna run the place and do it automatic. I don't think we have any choice. It's gotta go in there and look at what we're just told us. They can move stuff around here, make use of it. So I don't think we have any choice but to do that.
It's not in there, but I think it should be, as you
I
said.
think we need to do that. I don't think we have any choice.
So, then thought of the other 2 councillors, Councillor Peacock, Councillor Counthoff.
We're talking the generator to be added for the Kakabeka station, or
Yeah, they're all going to be, could you explain where each is going, please?
Yeah,
again?
through the
Yeah.
chair, we have two distinct panels with one generator. So when the power went out in November, we brought a small kilowatt generator to run the little plant through one switchgear. We didn't take both panels through one switchgear. If we're upping the voltage and the ampage at the rosin treatment plant, that switchgear has to come out and a new switchgear go in for bigger amps. The one that currently on rosin could go to Kekabeka to work with the Generac. So we would save the cost of the transfer switch at Kekabeka. The generator that's currently at rosin would fly over the roof and come in the backyard here and go on a pad and go into the previously installed generator cross switch that's here and be automatic. We would be automatic at 3 locations. Where
Kekabeka.
currently we are half.
We're half. So it would be this office, Kekabeka Fire Station and Rosin Water System. Keep that in, please. Yes.
Yeah, so if I can just comment too, so the Kekabeka Generac is, I don't like using the word added because it was in there and by error it was removed. So it's not an addition to the budget, it's a correction of an error. The other thing is that the Kekabeka station, it is also the secondary EOC. And when the power went out, we learned that the backup system that's there was not big enough to run. We had a course going on with computers. So it was not big enough to run the critical stuff in the station plus the computers. Now, I know it was a training course. The issue is that on an emergency, when it's being used as an EOC, it's going to be used in the same kind of capacity. So I know that the generator and the system that's there is not big enough for that to run as an EOC. So that's a critical one that's in there.
Okay, Donna?
And again, getting back to the Rescue 14 replacement, do we not have enough vehicles and new vehicles to use as one? Do we need to have a vehicle, like a crew cab, the whole 9 yards, all decked out? Can we not use something that we already have?
Rescue 14 will not pass safety, so we'll be dropping a vehicle. So it's not a matter of using something that we already have. We're losing a vehicle. That's the replacement, the reasoning for the replacement of that vehicle.
And like I said, do we need to have something F-350 crew cab? You only got one person driving. Just wondering that. Just seems like a lot of money when you could use a half ton or something of that. Just, I guess I need to know the explanation as to what a command vehicle is going to be used for. As opposed to, you know, the difference between that and what we already have as far as the rescues.
I would need some more time to formulate a response to that question, but I will say a basic vehicle, you're looking at in the neighborhood of 80,000 plus. It's not a matter of you know, to use a Chris vehicle as an example, we have to put emergency response equipment on it. We have to put lights, radio, siren, like there's standards that have to be put in place. So in my opinion, that is the cheapest option for a vehicle that gives us multi-purpose, multifunctional, to replace a truck that's going to get pulled out of service. Now, if council so chooses and says we're dropping the fleet, we're not going to replace 14, then I'll have to figure out a way to put the first response equipment. It can go on the pumper truck, but then our first responders all have to get DZ licenses to respond. So it's.
And do you feel that that's a fair estimate as far as the Class C design quote for Roslyn at 100,000?
That's a best estimate that
Estimate,
the
okay.
Director of Operations and I came up with, and he might be able to answer that better.
So through the chair, what's going on with that committee, and that is very similar to what we went through with the car museum back in the day, pre-COVID, where the estimate came in and there was some drawings and there was a bunch of steps back and forth, but right now a Class C estimate would be in that neighborhood. That's an additional cost and related to that item, whereas it deviates from a standard garage that we did for human occupancy and all the stuff we did for the car museum. This one has all the standards that have to be met as far as egress and the model of what do you call that? Disaster-proof building. There's a whole nother level that's over and above what it costs us to do the engineer's concept drawing for the car museum.
Yeah, it's referred to as a post-disaster building.
Councillor Campa, have you thought about the generator or?
Yeah, so I think it's been adequately explained that it's an improvement and it's I recognize that there's a challenge by having boil water advisories. Obviously, it's not the end of the world, but it's nice to try to avoid them. But I mean, it ticks off a bunch of boxes by being able to move everything around. So I'm in support of it.
And Councillor Peacock?
It's a post-disaster or a EOC requirement for Kakabeka. I mean, if you can't open the doors because they're electric doors, we're kind of hope to get a vehicle out.
Well, there's redundancies, there's manual openings on the doors. When all the door openers were replaced, we upgraded the manual. The bigger issue is not opening a door. The bigger issue is operating it as an EOC. And if we've got a major disaster going on and we've got people in there working, managing a disaster or emergency response, we got to have the capacity to run. And that, I think we got funding for that building as an EOC.
Yes. Councillor Campa?
I know myself and my own business, the way I've always looked at a backup generator is, I mean, I pay a lot for insurance every year. All I get is a bill. Hopefully I never have to use it. At least a backup generator, I get to park it in the corner of my shed and trip over it. So it's something physical. It's like buying an insurance policy, but you're actually getting something physical for it. And yeah, there's benefit to that. So, and it's improvement that you do once, and hopefully, I mean, they last for, I mean, 20 years is not unreasonable for a lifespan.
Yeah, so currently through the chair, that generator, I believe, is like 13 years old and it's got 417 hours on it.
Mhm.
So it's ran a few full days and it's done its monthly hour run, right?
Yeah.
So from a perspective of going here, yeah, it might run 10, 12 hours a year, a summertime, a power outage, an accident on the highway takes out our power,
Yeah,
you know. So they are a necessary evil, so to speak, when we're in this business.
okay, alrighty, so it looks like council is in agreement to put that back in. Okay, and this will all come back to us in January for final approval.
Did we get anywhere with the transfer to the water system?
Well, I feel that council's not on board together on what is the tax rate going to be. You know, right now it says with Councillor Viss has got 5.25, the increase after growth. I mean, the growth and the tax rate. So need to get to a level where everyone is content.
Yes.
So I'm not sure what Councillor Viss's thoughts are, but I'm in agreement with some of the points he had made, and I would like to see us somewhere in that for actual tax increase to an individual homeowner, somewhere in the 2 to 2% range, or 2 to 2.5% range.
Yes.
I noted in the conversations $85,000 in streetlights. We don't know where that's going to happen, right? And the $60,000 generator that we need to put back in, that's approximately $150,000. Earlier, I noted that despite what we're doing to our reserves, we will have about 5.2 million at the end of the year. So those two items, if we pull those out of reserves, that's 150,000. It drops your overall tax from 5.25 to 3.25, or it's 3/4. And then when you take off the growth, you get a tax rate of about 2.1%.
Sounds good.
Yeah, in that neighborhood.
And if the MTO comes with the fact that we have to do them, that money would come out of reserve.
Right.
Right.
For the Sentinel lights and the generator, we would, those out of reserves. We get 375 overall, 2.1, approximately 2.13 for a tax rate. Another suggestion I have is we are, about whether this MTO thing about the intersection's gonna happen. Let's take that out of the budget, but reduce the draw on the capital works reserve by 250,000, so it's doesn't have any effect there. And if it does happen, then we will need to grab it out of the reserves to do it. Another thing I was thinking about, and based on conversations here, we could take 246,000 OCIF to and when taxes would be supporting what's going on in public works rather than the OCIF. Just that's kind of like an optical thing. Now, this is a one-time idea, but you know, that's something that Councillor
Be
Peak.
putting that 200 and some back into roads,
Yeah,
if you're taking it out of the OCIF.
right. You see, because with the 200 from reserves to be put back into a draw for public works, the roads, and then you would take 246,000 from the OCIF and the public works budget this year and move it to the water department, and then we have OCIF supporting the capital for water.
Just as long as the upper roads do not lose that money, it's replaced by reserve.
Right.
Okay, because we need to maintain our roads.
And I think it was stated too, like, you know, and the capital is heavy now with that rosin water system. It's not to be always that way, you know, so it's a heavy hit right now. No, but for the, no, I know, but I'm just saying as far as, you know,
I hear you.
it's another,
Municipal
Hopefully
taxes that keep
some-
costing and costing.
yeah. But the big hit now, and you do it now and you get it over with.
Hopefully.
Gotta do it.
Okay, so that will come back to us in January.
Does everyone
Yep.
feel that sounds pretty good?
Yes.
I
I
commented.
fully agree with what you just presented there. I think that's a great idea.
First time for anything.
2.13.
Would there be an
Pass it on?
Would there be an opportunity to have a better idea as to where we're at year end? Like we haven't got anything that's gonna jump out and affect
When is the January budget meeting scheduled for?
I think we'll go with the January, what is it, 29th?
Yes, the last Wednesday of the month.
I'll update the numbers.
They would be rough, really
It'll
rough.
be
I would
rough
think.
because not all the invoices
But
will be in.
fourth quarter will not affect the 2026 budget.
won't.
No,
No.
it's just totally separate. One does not affect the other.
But it will give us.
It'll give you an idea,
Better idea. of where-
yes, but it will not affect the budget.
No, none at all.
No.
All it'll do if there's a surplus goes into working reserve fund,
Right.
and that's where I've gotta go. I mean, that's all that's do it, so.
Mhm. Yeah, nice to know, but I know that the end of January, it would be very difficult to have your final numbers for 2025.
and do we know when we can anticipate hearing about the OCIF grant proposals?
For the
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
NOHFC.
Whenever they contact you.
Well, I guess they're out till March now
You
anyways, so.
Okay,
Good.
alrighty, I have my sheet here. Oh, we did have that letter.
Yeah.
from Shirley Niemi in regards to that grant. She had called me and she had asked for a letter of support for myself, and I said, I'm sorry, I can't give that to you unless it goes through council, and it is in front of you. I have signed it already. But anyway, is there any problems with signing that letter of support?
at me.
Yeah, well, you said. But is there any problem signing that
No,
letter of support?
not at
Okay.
all.
Nice that they have someone working on grants for the
Yeah.
K Beach seniors. Pardon? Oh, we do have a resolution. It's moved in second in regards to supplying them with a letter of support for senior community grant. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Any other items for? Nope. Just closing. Okay, we have a resolution moved and seconded to confirm the meeting that we have just had. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And we also have a resolution moved and seconding adjourning the meeting, the time being 10:59 a.m. And I just want to say to everybody, it's been a pleasure working with all of you in 2025. We might see some of you yet before the year is over, but it really has been, we've been, I believe, a good council. When we've walked out the door, we're still friends. We don't hold grudges. And we do understand that we don't always agree on everything. As someone once told me, marriage will never last if you always agree on everything.
There you go.
I don't know if that's true. I was once told that and I agree with that. So
Always agreed to everything. We're not doing our work.
that's right, just as,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I echo your words. I appreciate your comments because it's been a good council.
yes, it's been a good year and we've got up 10 months to go in 2026. One Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you and administration as well. They're not here, but I will come and talk to each one of them and say thank you.
You're getting gas cards.
So
Yeah.
just to clarify, there are no council meetings from August 21st to.
Oh, yeah. There's council meetings. We just can't make financial decisions. Oh, yeah. You thought you were gonna get off that easy, eh? No, no.